So, Adobe Systems entered the NASDAQ in 1986, okay? And its revenue has grown from roughly $1 billion then in 1999 to roughly $4 billion in 2012, and it continues to grow. Microsoft developed a media player known as Active Media, which then became Windows Media Player in 1999. Akamai was founded in 1998 by Dan Lewin and Tom Layton. Unfortunately, Dan Lewin was killed in the American Airlines Flight 11 during the attacks on September 11, 2001. But Layton, he is still the CEO of Akamai. In June 1999, Apple also introduced a streaming media format called QuickTime 4. On July 21st, 1999, at the Macworld Expo in New York, Apple and Akamai announced a strategic partnership to build Apple's new media network. And in September 1999, Microsoft also announced a partnership with Akamai to expand their Windows Media to an online portal. In 2002, the Adobe Flash Player became the mainstay of live streaming. And then a big conference in New York also. It was called the Special Streaming Group in October 2002, chaired by Toshiba and Phoenix Technologies. Microsoft was there, Apple Computer was there, Warner Brothers, 20th Century Fox, Disney, Macromedia, and Akamai. Akamai is an important player in all of this. YouTube was founded by three guys from PayPal in 2005. In October 2006, YouTube was bought by Google Incorporated for $1.65 billion in Google stock. In March 2010, YouTube began free streaming of certain content, including 60 cricket matches of the Indian Premier League. According to YouTube, this was the first online broadcast of a major sport event. During this time, Akamai, Apple, Adobe, Microsoft all developed what we know now as adaptive streaming. Before that, any video online had to be loaded, downloaded, had to reload, and now the streams adapt, which allows us to do everything we do today. It allows us to stream on Facebook. It allows us to stream on YouTube right now, because the signal adapts to the bandwidth. When I first bought my first URL back in the early 90s, we couldn't even play video on our website. Even though we were a video production company, we couldn't play video on our website because the customers couldn't watch it. And now we can stream live anywhere we want. In fact, we just finished right here in St. Louis the U.S. Chess Championships, which was watched by 1 million people. So, pretty big stuff. Now I want to tell you about our panel, give the microphone to them so they can introduce themselves. We have some amazing people here on the panel for you to hear from. First, I'm going to give the microphone to Candy.
Hi, how are we all doing at this hour? Good. Okay, so I'm Ms. Candy Blog. I am Clout's #1 female live streaming geek, and I'm the first Candy live streamer. I also happen to be an award-nominated YouTuber on the World of Wonder Network, which is the production company of RuPaul's Drag Race, because I'm the official reviewer of the RuPaul Candy Bar. So if you plug in RuPaul and Candy, you're going to see my face. I'm also the author of an upcoming book called Saved by a Supermodel, and my brand is about positivity and love and acceptance. And I created it because I wanted to be happy and I wanted to bring happiness to other people. So what I do is I share candy and candy knowledge, because there's a lot out there. Okay, trust me, come watch me, you'll know. And then I inject fashion and beauty with it by doing Candy Couture, which if you've seen me over the course of 2 days, I've done, I think, 5 looks for you this show. So, candy kisses, talk to you soon.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Frank of Bonnie L. Frank Coaching and Consulting. I also teach a live streaming course at UMSL each semester. Feel free to sign up. And I built my entire business with live streaming. So I didn't use 1 penny toward advertising, 0. I don't know what these people are teaching you out here, but I'm telling you, you can do it a lot for free. So no money in advertising for 2 years.
Good afternoon. I'm Jordan Palmer. I am the digital director at the NBC affiliate here in St. Louis, KSDK. I'm here because I've worked with Silverback Productions on live streaming. We live streamed high school football this past fall, and I've been involved with live streaming and streaming since its debut. I've been involved with the websites of television stations since 2001. I also am trying myself outside of my professional job to become a blogger like these folks here. I have a drink blog here in St. Louis called Drink 214, and I'm also live quite a bit, but only about beer. That's what I am, drinking beer on online and trying out spirits and writing about it and have a good time. So I see also the incredible opportunity of live streaming, both live and recorded.
How's everybody doing? Good? All right, I'm going to lead with a question. I'm Chris Strub, by the way, but how many of you guys have actually live streamed yourselves for business or on your own? Okay, awesome. So I'm here because I want every single person in this room to be able to raise their hand when we ask that question. I'm the first person to live stream in all 50 U.S. states, and the author of this lovely book just happens to be in front of me. 50 States, 100 Days, the book, where I worked with youth-related nonprofit organizations in all 50 U.S. states and shared their stories through live streaming, as well as some other channels, Snapchat, Instagram. And you'll notice all of us, we're not just purely live streamers, we're all over the place a little bit. I worked last year with Humana out of Louisville, right up the road, as a social media consultant, helping them with their Bold Goal initiative, working with about 40 different nonprofits around the southeastern United States, all in the effort to try and get smaller nonprofits and organizations to share their stories through these magnificent technologies that Kevin and all the other panelists have mentioned.
Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't need a microphone.
I'm fine.
They can't hear me in the truck.
He doesn't need it, but he's taking it.
Okay, so we don't want to just stand up here and just talk at you guys. We'd like to get questions and make it an interactive session. So if anybody's got a question right now, please raise your hand. Anyone?
I was just about to. So I'm going live on my profile right now.
I have one more member of the panel that I want to introduce, and he's out in the truck. He'll be coming up in just a moment. That's Kite Lee. He's my chief engineer at Silverback Video. He's the one that makes all this stuff happen. There he is right there. Wave, Kite. Hello. So Kite's, that's his seat down there in the end, but he doesn't want to speak. He's brilliant when it comes to technology, but he doesn't like to speak in public. But maybe we can get him in here to answer a few questions. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Obviously on YouTube you can monetize that and get that going through YouTube. Do you expect, or is there going to be a way to do that with Facebook Live, Periscope, all the other platforms?
Yes, so right now there is Facebook Live with ads, but you have to be of a certain size. So my reference is T.S. Madison. I don't know if you've heard of her, but T.S. Madison live streams all the time. And while she's in the car eating a salad, she goes, hold on, I'll be right back. And she clicks, and it goes to a commercial for MasterCard. And then she clicks it again, comes right back into the stream. So there is the possibility for those ads, and they're coming our way. The other thing that there is something called Dub Candy, which is an app where you can load a video in and select 5 different items to be for sale while your video plays. So it's moving in that direction, but I personally am not seeing it there right now.
So the NBC affiliate here in St. Louis is part of what's called TEGNA. The TEGNA Corporation used to be Gannett before we split. So we have 38 TV stations, and we are heavily involved in all of these platforms. And the conversation is already underway about what you just asked, and these ads on Facebook are coming. We are not utilizing them yet. In a lot of ways, companies as big as Tegna sometimes are slower and more deliberate about how we're going to monetize as opposed to jumping in. And my experience is that is actually, even though at times I wish they'd move faster, was probably very wise. The same thing with our YouTube. We're actually, I mean, YouTube's been around for as long as, I think it's in 2005, and literally the television stations are just now getting involved with it because we were reluctant to allow our content to be given away, if you will. Now, I mean, just within the last month, Channel 5 here in St. Louis has launched a real YouTube station. We've had other people kind of create YouTube stations for us that really weren't real. Now we have one, and I am now sitting in my office every day trying to figure out how to create that not just the monetization of it, but the content that's going to go onto it. So all this, the financial part of the live stream is coming, but I think it's probably going to be moved faster with some of the smaller bloggers and smaller live streamers, and slower with the bigger companies.
I want to take a different approach to your question, which was the monetization of the video itself. I imagine that most people sitting in this room, or most people watching around the world on YouTube, don't consider themselves professional live streamers, and they're not in it with the idea of being a live streamer like maybe some of us are. So I think you always have to, before you do any sort of social media, live streaming, Snapchat, Instagram, think about what your goal is, and then let live streaming be a tool to get you to that goal. You monetize by, if you're a brick and mortar shop, having people come into your store and buy your chocolates, or buy your book, or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish as your business goal. Don't try and do something differently because of live streaming. Think of live streaming as a way that you can embellish and better connect with the people that you're trying to connect with, to monetize by the same way that you might ordinarily otherwise do your business.
Basically sell yourself.
Sell yourself, absolutely. And that can be through live streaming, or that can be through, as a live streamer, or that can be as a business person who uses live streaming as a successful tool.
And so just to finish that up, to give you all an example of how powerful live streaming is and how powerful, hold on, flip the camera to me, and how powerful live streaming can be. When I started my coaching, I'm a former teacher and college professor, and now I'm back teaching at UMSL. And then I decided to open up a business, and everyone was like, "Are you kidding? You don't know anything about business." Huh. So I showed them, and but I didn't have the easiest time. And for over a year, I was utilizing social media every day, consistently, not getting a client, not one client. I hop on Periscope. 6 days later, I start landing clients with absolutely no advertising and no more effort than just going live and talking about what I knew. So that's the power of live streaming. I was doing exactly the same thing, just like Chris is saying, just like Candy's saying. I was doing exactly the same thing that I had been doing on my YouTube videos, that I had been doing with my single image posts on Facebook, all the same. But now it was me. Now it was Bonnie with the glasses and the long hair and the dangly earrings, who, when she's not holding a microphone and her phone in her hand, constantly talk with her hands. And everybody knew it. And I was live streaming from coffee shops because I'm constantly drinking coffee. So then the coffee shops started giving me free coffee because I would show what coffee shop I was in every time. And my following always knew I was in a coffee shop. They didn't know I was in a coffee shop because I didn't even have a desk at home. And I was tired of doing my work on the couch, so I went to coffee shops, and it's free Wi-Fi. So literally what Chris is saying, just be yourself. Tell your story, be yourself, and use live streaming as a tool to do it. Don't hop on live streaming and then try to figure out why you're there. Figure out why you're there way before you push the go live button.
That's the tweetable right there. I see all you guys, right?
We have a tethered microphone, so we have to be very careful up here. So, are there any more questions? Anybody else? So I spoke about chess earlier, and I'm not sure that you understand how big chess is worldwide, and that St. Louis has become the epicenter of chess when it comes to chess broadcasting. We at Silverback work with Spectrum Studios out of Columbia, Missouri, as a team to put on these chess shows. And so I have a little bit of the highlights from last year's Grand Chess Tour, which is an international package, and I'll tell you a little bit about it after we watch it. You guys raise the audio a little bit, it's a little low in here.
It was day 2 of the first leg of the Grand Chess Tour in Paris.
It's absolutely shocking to me that having lost this position.
No, resignation by Carolina Morak to move E3.
Wow. Exactly. Wow.
Day 1 of the second leg of the Grand Chess Tour in Leuven, Belgium.
And now we're getting to trying to go after the A-Far class, but he and Magnus Carlsen, our world champion, has won.
Everyone's in time pressure. All 4 players are in time pressure.
Over the 4 days, we had about 1,500 people coming in here and watching the games live. Online, we have over about 300,000 people who have viewed these 3 days online.
It was a return of the best players in the world to the capital of chess in the U.S. Round 2 of the London Chess Classic, the last stop on the Grand Chess Tour.
Among all the tournaments I've been to, this has been absolutely top notch.
So as you can see, there are major broadcasts, and one of the key elements to this Grand Chess Tour is the fact that it's all over the world. It's in France, it's in Belgium, it's in London, and it's here in St. Louis. The Sinkfield Cup is here in St. Louis. So we're streaming cameras, multiple cameras from France to St. Louis. Then we have all of the commentators and everybody are here in St. Louis, and then we broadcast the final show worldwide online. And this is something that couldn't have been done 10 years ago. Obviously couldn't have been done 15 years ago. You would have had to use a satellite to get those camera signals up to the bird and back down here. And it was a very arduous job. We did it for Anheuser-Busch for years on the sports side of things. And now we can stream those cameras from Europe here, and the resolution is 720. It's not 1080 HD, but it's 720, and it looks very good when we process it here and send it back. And you would think that the delay would be, impossible to manage, but it's not. We have commentators in France that are talking to our commentators on set, and the delay is minimal. And it's a technology, IP technology that's been developed in the last few years. It's something that's going to change broadcasting over the next 5 years and change it completely. And so what's happening is, as Jordan was talking about a little bit, the television is changing. And we're talking to DirecTV about putting the Grand Chess Tour on with individual cameras for individual tables so that the viewer can sit at home and watch whatever game they want to watch, much like they do the Masters golf tournament now. So I thought that would be something interesting for you folks to, it's changing big time. So any questions?
I have a question for the panel.
This lady in the orange was first, sorry, bud. She beat you. Her orange jacket stood out a little bigger than your suit did. So sorry about that. What's your question?
So my question is, when you're just starting to, you're first starting off with live streaming, and you're reading your notes that about to tell your audience what you know, how do you still sound authentic while reading your notes to the audience?
Candy?
That's a good question.
That's an excellent question. So I don't work with the script personally, but I have an idea of where I'm going to go, the points I want to make, and that's it. And then I talk like I'm talking to a person. Like and I used to teach acting. So put a picture of your favorite person by wherever you're going to look and make like you're talking to that person, and that will get you to be authentic, because transparency and authenticity equals great content, and that's not happening overall in live streaming. So if you're going to be an authentic voice and you've got something to say, get out there and do it.
Yeah, so that's a really good question, and if I had a third hand, I would draw a little stick figure of a little girl, which is exactly what I did for the first, I don't know, probably 100 live streams I've done. I've done over 1,000 now, and I did it on a sticky note, and I put it on my iPad. I was streaming on my iPad because it makes everything bigger, so I can actually read the comments. And I put it on the other side of the iPad where my camera is, so that I would look at that little girl, and then to all of my viewers, it looked like I was looking them in the eyes. And so if you watch yourself on live streaming, it's going to look as though you are talking to their chin. And if you've ever met anyone at a networking event and they don't look you in the eye, it's not a good feeling. And you don't want your viewers to have that feeling. So you want to literally, as much as you can, look them in the eyes. So you have to be cognizant of where the camera is and speak into the camera. And just like Candy said, you are talking to people. You're talking to real live human beings on the other end. And it's a global platform. And you never know who's going to be on the other side of that, or who's going to see it being shared out and then shared and reshared and tweeted and retweeted, and God knows how, the lifespan of a live stream will live forever if you let it. And so there's no ceiling to the reach that you can get. And so there's no ceiling to the brand recognition that you can get.
I'm going to answer your question in two different ways with two different hats. As a digital director and former television producer, I would also tell you that you do want to have a certain amount of planning going on, and you do want to sound credible. That I will professionally say. I will now counter myself by saying that the most successful live streams that we have done have been the following. So when we started to get into live streaming over at Channel 5, the first go-to behind-the-scenes Facebook Live, if you would, was to kind of show everyone how the weather's done. Look, the screen's green, and it's not really there. And people really did react to that. But that died just within about 2 weeks. And the anchors, who are professional broadcasters, who spend their entire lives talking to the screen, sounded so robotic on Facebook Live that I said to them, hey, shake it off and just be you. In this case, just be Rennie, just be Frank Kusama, just be the guy at the bar. Talk to me like that. And then all of a sudden, they had two voices. The voice that goes on the news, it has to be robotic, if you will, and professional. But then on Facebook Live and live streaming, a little bit more casual, still smart, still credible, but yet a little more relatable. And the facts that she just gave you about the cameras, very true. The phones, if you're using your phone, the camera's in an awkward spot. You don't even really see where it is. So be careful where you're pointing that, especially if you're interviewing, pointing at someone and they're talking to you. You don't want to cut off their head. The other thing I wanted to say is when I take off my Channel 5 hat and I put on my drinking hat, I then...
Where do I get one of
those?
What do they look like?
That. Do not
what do they look like?
tweet that.
I do Facebook Lives, but I don't profess to be an expert at anything about... My point of view when I blog is that I'm an everyman, and I just will tell you what I like about the beer or the spirit or the wine, and I don't use fancy terms that you might find in some writing blogs that describe flavor. So don't go out on Facebook Live and talk like you know something that you don't know about. Your audience will jump on you so fast. And in the drinking world, the world where people talk about beer, there's a lot of folks who know that stuff and they can see through it. So you don't pretend, like you said, that Facebook Live will last forever as long as you let it. People will remember that. So just be yourself out there. And the Facebook audience or the live streaming audience, I think, is more forgiving than the television audience, because it's not that it's less professional, it's just that it's a little bit more carefree. It's just everybody doing it kind of thing, as opposed to the news anchors.
I think, I hate to go back and pull apart the semantics of the question one more time. Live streaming, at least to me, is not my opportunity to speak to people. It's my opportunity to speak with people. When you look at live streaming as a dialogue, and I don't even like the premise of live streaming. To me, it's live, mobile, participatory video, right? Because if we're on a live stream together, your time as a viewer is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than my time as a broadcaster. And so when you think of live streaming in a way that you are in a room with everybody who's watching and you're able to lead a conversation, and the friendships, and all these guys will talk about the communities that have been built because they all share that appreciation for Bonnie or Miss Candy Blog or me. You know, that people want to know one another and people want to be a part of the discussion. So if I want to watch a TEDx talk where someone's just talking to me, I'll go on YouTube and watch it from 6 months ago. Right? Live streaming is that opportunity for every single person who's watching to help shape that conversation, even if it's just a little bit. And we could do a whole nother hour about how much involvement you want to have with your audience, but the answer is definitely some. You know, you don't want to sit there and just read comments the whole time, but you also definitely don't want to sit there and just read from a script.
Okay. You still
He
have
had
a
a question.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So as far as content goes, when you first started out, content's going to evolve and change. Just tell me a little bit from your experience of how you changed and adapted the content, because as we know, the audience is going to change over 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. There's going to be new features that are available. How are you utilizing those things, and how have you increased your content to make it better?
Okay, so I started out on YouTube. I was 6 months on YouTube, and I was just doing candy reviews and talking to the camera. Then I started live streaming, and what it did was it changed. It's a character, Ms. Candy Blog. I don't show up like this and talk. I talk like yes and all this other stuff that I do. Okay, so when I started live streaming, because it was a live audience and they were giving me feedback, my character and my energy became so big. There's bubbles popping up and colors, and they want to have gifts on certain apps and things like that. So it changed the dynamic of my character. Then I just kind of played with what I was already doing on YouTube, but I was making it interactive and engaging. So I made something called, instead of me doing a candy review, candy reviews by you. I'm going to show you 3 candies. You tell me which one I'm going to choose by tapping on the screen. Okay? Ready, go. And they start tapping, and all these hearts and stars and all these things start happening. And then people get really mad because they don't want that candy to win. They want some other candy to win because that's their favorite candy. Now, please, I'm trying the candy. What does it matter what candy wins? You know what I'm saying? So they become, you know, you can really harness that engagement piece. But I have to tell you that I don't see a lot of people harnessing the engagement aspect of live broadcasting, because there's a difference between live streaming, which is me going, look, I'm live streaming, and live broadcasting, which is when I'm interactive and engaging with you. Bonnie?
Right. Here, will you?
Okay.
Yeah. So, I need another hand.
She needs another hand.
So, yeah, I totally agree. If you are not going to interact with the people on the other end, don't push go live. Don't do it. Because you're going to look like a talking head. You're going to look exactly like he just said Cusimano looks when he's not talking to somebody. And you're always talking to somebody on live streaming. You always are. If there's one person, like we say, in the room, if there's one person in the room, you're talking to that one person. If there's 0 people when you first go live, which happens, that happens every single time to every live streamer. At some point, it happens to every live streamer, right? All of us have had nobody there at some point. Guess what? You still talk, because somebody's going to join, or 1 million people are going to watch the replay. Maybe, God forbid, there's something going on in the world besides your live streaming at that moment. And so maybe people are doing something else, right? So remember that you're talking to real live human beings. And just a little bit more information. So the power of live streaming, if you want to build your business, you can build your business on any social media platform, any of them, if you use them effectively. So you can use Facebook Live, or you can use Facebook and just use single post images. It doesn't matter. You can build your business. But to give you an example, I've lived in St. Louis my entire life, and I had 2 clients from Australia before I ever had one from St. Louis. And I still have only had one from St. Louis. So Candy and I were just talking, people come to you. You don't ever have to leave your house. They all come to you through your phone, through your iPad, through your laptop. But you've got to talk to them, and then they'll come to you.
Yeah.
Can you answer this question with your beer hat on?
One more time.
Beer
Can you
hat.
answer this question with your beer hat on?
Could you ask the question again? Because I was going to go in a different direction. Go ahead and ask the question.
So I'm just interested because we review beers too with a couple of other guys, so it's huge. So I definitely want to connect with you after this and see what yours is. But with the content, how is your beer, wine, spirits, live streaming adapted over a period of time for your audience? How's that content been shaped by them for you?
Okay. Most of the stuff I have done has been, I will go to are you from St. Louis?
No.
Okay. So I go to neighborhood bottle shops. I go to some of the craft breweries, craft distilleries. If I get the chance, I go out to some of the wineries which are surrounding us. And I will usually engage, because I'm a television guy, so what I'll normally do is try to get people who are smarter than me to do the talking. So I will go and grab the owner of Stonehill Winery, or the guy who runs 630 Distillery, or the guy who runs the bottle shop, and just ask him to kind of show me around, and then I will just basically get 6 beers out of that and basically sample, not full beers, I've just taken 3 ounces of pour, and like last night, and so last night I was at a craft beer shop in Clayton, and wanted to try 3 new beers. Doghead Fish Brewery was a Dogfish Head Brewery, just arrived in St. Louis, and wanted to try 2 of their IPAs. So I basically live streamed myself with my wife and a friend, just talking about the beer after it was introduced sort of expertly by the owner. And then it becomes more of an expert to every man, and then maybe a look around.
Do you review them? You actually give reviews?
I do an everyman review. I don't like everything, and I'll tell people that. I'll say, you know, this beer is not for me. My hop level, I make a big deal out of my hop level. Some beers are too hoppy for me, so I'll say this one is just too much for me. It's not going to be one that I would like. Now it's summer, it's hot, so I do a thing on baseball beers. This is the beer I would maybe drink at Busch Stadium if I was at the game and it's 110 degrees. This beer's too thick for me. So yeah, I guess I give a review, but it's more of a personal opinion on that. On that note, I'm going to take your question in a different direction, because no one has mentioned her, and I just wanted to go ahead and throw her out, because when we talk about live streaming for engagement, where there's a back and forth, there is a world of live streaming for the sake of live streaming. And maybe this is not the room to talk about it, but let me tell you something. In my business, engagement is money, and engagement is business, and April the giraffe is my best friend. No, hold on.
Well, I don't think she's interacting very much with her
She's not
viewers,
interacting.
I have
But
to
what
say.
was happening was people were just coming and watching and not interacting. We actually have been getting some really good press lately about interacting with our audiences, and here's why. We put up a policy against bullying. If you watch the giraffe feeds, there is a lot of bullying going on between people talking. And even today, I had to get on there, and you can go look at it. It's right there in front of everyone. I introduce myself as Jordan, the digital director, and I tell people that I'm really, really busy sitting here with my feet up on my desk, watching this comment going, and watching all of you attacking each other. Now, like I am with my teenage kids, I'm going to parent you. And I parented the engagement. And all of a sudden, I was giving out advice to people. I was writing maternity leave letters for people. I was creating new words. All of a sudden, we created engagement where there wasn't any. So even if you are in the business of just creating live streaming, and it's just people watching something because they're anticipating something like a birth or a plant opening up or anything like that, the engagement, even if it's not about the actual topic, can really be impressive. And what ended up being a live stream about a giraffe, hopefully someday giving birth soon, became almost like an ethics discussion about how people treat each other on social media.
Can we maybe get one more question? I can answer that, but I know we have 2 minutes left.
Oh,
We have 2 minutes, so this lady in the orange jacket had a question. Go ahead.
Well, do you want, Chris should answer
Can
the
I go
question
first this time then?
Yes.
We don't have time. I'd like her to be able to get that question out. I understand, Chris, but you start with this question.
Okay.
Yeah.
You guys kind of talked about some of the things that you like as far as especially engagement with your followers, but if you could, hopefully this would be a quick answer for you all too. What are your favorite things and your least favorite things about many mobile streaming platforms? What's your go-to?
Gotcha.
Man, on the clock. Good thing I get to go first. Any app that is pushing the limits and giving us more opportunities to engage and grow a community. You guys can talk about being featured on Periscope, for example, is a great way to gain more of a viewership. But man, we could do another 2 hours just talking about the features, and I want to make sure everyone has an answer to it. Yeah, I'll come over and talk to you after the thing's over.
We are really Facebook heavy. We, as a television, as an industry, is probably slow to all of this. So, I still don't get Snapchat, but I got my young staff who tell me every day that we're doing great.
He's got it.
Chris can take care of that.
So,
Chris has it.
I'm a little slow to that, but we, as an industry, are probably just about halfway behind, and we're just catching up.
And I'm all about you need to use the platform for a purpose that works for you and your business and your brand. Otherwise, don't use the platform. So if you're not sure how to use it, that you need to figure that out first, and you need to make sure that it's going to accomplish whatever business goals you have. Otherwise, don't bother. Unless somebody's, financing you, and then money's not a problem. Do whatever you want. But for me, if it's not bringing me money, I'm not going to be doing it.
Okay, so I'm a multi-streamer and I stream on 7 platforms at once. That's because I'm a goofball, okay? But you don't need to be on all those apps because some of those apps is not where your audience is. So you really need to know where your audience is, and that's where you go. Make that your strategy.
For us, that's Facebook.
Yeah, and that's very good advice. So, sorry, but we're going to have to wrap up here.